I'm Garek Begg. I'm chairman of the Inverness Business Improvement District. I'm also a retailer with footwear and leather goods shops in Inverness, Elgin and Perth.
Garek, I was sitting in the auditorium, and like everyone else, I was interested to hear what you said. We'd already heard from the Minister, Alex Neil, and various other people who'd given, I suppose, a picture of, maybe a more technical picture, a picture of hopes and aspirations, and this is what a BID can do, and TIFs and things like that. Yours was much more, I suppose, about getting your hands dirty. This is the reality of the situation. Can you sort of recap what you had to say?
Essentially, I suppose what I was saying was that bids are a fantastic vehicle with which to progress the interests of vibrant city centres, and that the only potential problem is that if there is no funding behind them, or indeed the levy is far too high, then they will actually fail.
And of course, Inverness bid is successful.
We do certain things very well. We would love to do an awful lot more. We're slightly restricted because our wings have been clipped finance-wise.
Well, how would you describe the challenges you face then? I mean, you were talking about politicians, for example, local authorities.
It has materialised. We have great cooperation with the local councillors who've actually bought into the bid process, and they work hard for us. But not everybody fully understands, and that causes frustrations, and it causes log jams in getting certain things done. It's also become totally apparent that we need to actually work on a higher level as well, which indeed we have been doing with MPs, MSPs and so on. Even we have tried writing to ministers, but what we really need to do is actually get ministers to hear directly what it is that the problems are, and I think that's a common thing which I've been speaking to people since my presentation today about, and they completely concur, which is wonderful.
So you're looking for a face-to-face meeting?
I think that once or twice a year perhaps a group of bid chairs or some sort of organisation like that should get together and tell ministers how it really is. I think that what they get is a watered down version. They don't need the censoring, they need to hear it from the horse's mouth, and that way then they're better informed and can carry out the decisions more effectively.
You made the point in your presentation about the Traders Association and the City Centre Association.
Yes.
What's the relationship between those two groups and the BID as far as you're concerned?
Well, initially there was an Inverness City Centre Management Group, which was primarily funded by council and multiple retailers actually, and the shopping centres, and that didn't sit all that well with independent retailers who felt they were being neglected at the time. This is how the bid came about in actual fact, and eventually we managed to protest in the traders' organisation to the extent that in fact everybody started listening. We got an improvement scheme devised and approved for the city centre. We've now got a fantastic city centre, but actually it was obvious that people were starting to listen, and it was clear to everybody concerned that an amalgamation of the two was the best way forward. That's actually what we've got, and we now truly represent the city centre, which is something that didn't exist before, and I think that model would apply to city centres, or could apply to city centres everywhere. There'll be some places obviously it won't apply to.
And, another interesting thing you said in your presentation was about the levy. It's 1% in Inverness,
yeah.
and that's helped you raise £200,000 odd.
Well, what actually that should do ideally, it should allow us to take in an extra £210,000. That has been a rocky road, it has to be said. I think we're getting there now. But that amount of money, when you actually start trying to do some of the ambitious schemes that we've set up, is not a huge amount of money, and that is part of our problem. Initially, one or two of the schemes were in existence before, but they were funded by the council, and some of that funding has in fact dried up, which of course leaves us with a black hole.
Okay, what's the potential of this?
The potential is fantastic, and yes, it should be the answer. All we need to do is have a bit of core funding so that we don't have to be looking over our backs wondering where the next pound's coming from in order to pay the wages bill.
Okay, look, I know you've got to go back onto stage and answer some questions, so I'll let you finish your food.
Thanks.
Garek, thanks very much.
Okay, you're welcome.